From NTR, National Taxpayer Radio, you're listening to This American Loaf. On today's program, we hear from internet personality The Obscure as he recalls an unforgettable tragedy at a small-town discovery zone. Thanks for being on the program, The Obscure.
Well, thanks for validating my parking. That son of a bitch is expensive.
I thought you rode the subway here.
Oh. Then why the hell did I buy a parking pass?
So tell our listeners about your experience at the Discovery Zone.
What about it?
That script, the one we approved of.
Oh, yeah. We know a remote farm in Lincolnshire where Mrs. Buckley lives. Every July, peas grow there. Do we really mean that?
That's the wrong script.
Oh. Yeah, I got several of these fucking things. You know what? I got the script up here. This is DZ, the Discovery Zone.
And it's crash little kids, crash little kids, crash little kids, I don't know what it was.
If you were a kid in the 90s and you had a Discovery Zone in your area, then you were saturated with ads for DZ. Look at these kids. They're about to have a fucking heart attack of joy. And who can forget that unforgettable song?
I'm going to DZ at Discovery Zone, where I can cut loose and be on my own.
I don't think so.
And this one seems to imply that the zone is some kind of mind-altering drug.
Once you're in the zone, it'll blow your mind!
Just non-stop action, bouncing off the walls, climbing across the ceiling, doing things that would get you a concussion if every surface wasn't sheathed in foam padding. For kids, it was like the weekend mecca, the place you were obligated to visit. It was like an affordable Disneyland, and the names are even similar, you know? Disney, DZ, Disney, see?
Oh yes, everyone in our generation remembers the Discovery Zone.
It's a weird name too, isn't it? What exactly are you discovering at the Discovery Zone? It's not like there are rare minerals hidden in all the ball pits. Are there yet to be discovered microbial organisms covering the climbing walls? Or maybe you'd go there and discover something about yourself. You'd stand atop the foam mountain and have an epiphany.
I don't know. Does this story happen to have an epiphany? A point?
Hold on, I'm getting to that. So, you finally get your parents to get off their ass and drive you and your friends to what looked like a contaminated waste storage facility covered in wacky colors and shapes. Immediately after parking, you run inside, and what's the first thing you notice? It's fucking cold in there. They've got one of those industrial strength air conditioners powerful enough to make the surface of the sun a comfortable place to live. It's like you needed a parka to slide through the tubes. Whole thing became an Arctic expedition. Now most places have a little room or an area to dump the kids at while the parents bowl skated, line dance, or whatever those squares did in their free time. Instead, DZ had the opposite. It had a little section of tables or benches for the parents to sit around a good chunk of their Saturday and watch the kids have fun. Ha! Chumps. Well, of course, now that I think about it, DZ could have acted as like a child zoo for the parents. They go in, sit down, and laugh at the kids scurrying around the enclosure like human hamsters.
Oh, are you a parent yourself?
Me? Reproduce? Hell no. There's enough internet comedians out there already. Now stop interrupting. So, DZ had a game room like any crappy arcade. Little sterile rooms for birthday parties and a snack bar that had the obligatory shitty microwave pizza. I swear I've eaten so much of that, half my body structure right now is made of that shitty pizza. But let me tell you about the play place. It was less of a place and more of a world, a dimension of sight and sound and of mind. You are now entering the Megazone. That's what they called that plastic behemoth. Did you know that? The Megazone. And once you got in the Megazone, it was hard to get out. There were so many twists and turns and curves and dead ends, you had to have a map and use your survival skills to navigate your way through. Didn't help that you could also climb through the ceiling and drop through the floor. You were lost in 3 dimensions. That place ever caught fire, like 20 kids would get stuck in the tubes and die.
I honestly highly doubt that.
There were also different rooms scattered about the labyrinth. One room had a bouncy floor like one of those bounce castles. Another room had a rock climbing wall. Another had a trapeze death trap. And another room had a water heater and a mop. I never understood that room. I also remember a room that had a squishy floor like a deflated version of the bounce house, but instead of bouncing, you just sort of hopped around awkwardly. Somehow I always found my way into a section in the far corner of the building that neither the fluorescent lights nor the air conditioning could reach. It was always dark and humid and didn't have anything of note, just a weird dark hallway of foam. On occasion you discover a new room. Do you think that's where they got the name?
I really don't want to be here.
One of my friends swears he once went wandering into the Megazone for hours, climbing mountain slopes and crawling through endless tunnels until he found a room full of twinkling lights and funhouse mirrors. Sounds fucking magical. He said it was like that weird spinning room of that movie The Haunting, except it wasn't in a terrible movie. The next time he went to DZ, he searched for it, but he couldn't find it. It was like losing Shangri-La. Another one of my friends says he once found a room full of giant foam shapes, but that too became lost to him. Yet another friend says he was wandering for hours through a honeycomb maze and he found a round chamber with a living, breathing minotaur. And another friend swears he went exploring for days and saw the face of God. I always just found the ball pit.
Oh, was that your favorite?
The ball pit? Hell no, I hated the ball pit. You didn't know it was down there. I once saw a kid dive into the ball pit and immediately climb out, his old pant leg covered in some stranger's shit. It's the risk you take, and unfortunately, one of the easiest exits was through the ball pit. If you wanted to get out of the maze, to get to a restroom, then I'd have to take a shit in the ball pit. Then you had to wade through, oh my goodness, it was too deep. You had to swim through that pit of balls, keeping your head above the surface at the risk of getting a mouthful of a dead cockroach or a stray Band-Aid. But no, you'd start sinking. There were balls in your face. The whole room was teabagging you, and then... Then there's that son of a bitch at the top of the foam pyramid.
The what?
Well, in the ball pit, there was this cushioned pyramid in the center, and to reach the top, you had to pull yourself up a climbing rope with almost no footing, because the thing was slippery. It was difficult for anyone, so occasionally you'd get this sporty bastard who'd easily clamber to the top, and you'd take a bunch of those little balls with them. And suddenly, the 10-foot radius around the spire was their territory, and anyone who trespassed was subject to an aerial pummeling. Not that those little balls hurt, I mean, they're just hollow plastic, but it was just annoying when you're trying to get out and get to the restroom. They must have taken 1,000 of those things up there with them, because they never fucking ran out. I can't tell you how mortified I was when a slide I was on ended in the ball pit. You'd get on, it'd seem harmless enough, you'd go down, and suddenly, well, you could see it coming, this mass of rainbow dots. You try to grab onto the sides and pull yourself up. No, I don't want to go down there, don't make me go down there. But it was too late, there were kids coming down the slide behind you, and it was like climbing up a waterfall. So you're stuck going down the slide, and you would end up right in a pile of some kid's shit. Then the DZ employees would have to quarantine the area, and I swear to God they called it a code brown. Goddamn the ball pit.
I kind of like the ball pit.
Were you the kid at the top of the pyramid?
Maybe.
Guarding the only exit to the complex? Wait! There was another exit. A better exit. The rolling slide! How could I forget the rolling slide? That was a mechanism like no other. Those little rolling pins would tenderize your legs and your butt as you went along and give you a boost of speed. A few weeks ago, I got a deep tissue massage and I thought, I feel like I just went down the rolling slide. Wasn't a pleasant experience either, you know? Your skin would get caught in the space between the rollers and there were humps in the slide that would toss you up, and if you were stupid, you'd try to put your fingers in the spaces and then get stuck and almost snap off. So why is the most dangerous and painful piece of equipment also one of the most popular and well-remembered?
I really couldn't tell you. Now, the Obscure, you said there was a tragedy tied to this story?
Tragedy? The tragedy is that the fucking place closed down. The chain went bankrupt in 1996 because of bad management under Viacom. By the end of the decade, they had all been closed down and converted into Chuck E. Cheese's. But that was a weak substitute. All those places were. Chuck E. Cheese's condensed play areas make room for all the superfluous crap, so we didn't have this awesome playground. The end of DZ was the end of an era. And just think that the first location opened in 1990 and the last one closed in 1999. It's truly a product of the 90s.
I'm sure you were very devastated.
Me? Well, by 1999 I was on my way to high school so I can care less, but now I think about it, kids today are really missing out. A lot of my friends who grew up with DZ are parents themselves now, and they regret not being able to take their kids to what amounts to the best playground ever. Kids need to be able to run around and jump and push themselves to the limits, but with DZ gone, school sports getting cut left and right, and neighborhood playgrounds getting demolished to make room for parking lots, it's no wonder kids are getting restless and addicted to the internet and shit. They got nowhere to go, nothing to do. Bring back the giant slides, the rolly slides, the climbing walls, the zip lines, even the ball pit, bring it back, E. coli and all.
I guess this is as insightful as we're gonna get. Do you think the Discovery Zone would work in this decade?
Now more than ever. It's an affordable vacation, it's indoors, it's safe. Hell, we could have an adult-only Discovery Zone. Just put in a bar, live music, an orgy room, and you got yourself a business.
Did you say an orgy room?
Don't pretend you never entertained ideas of having sex in a bouncy castle.
Can't say that I have.
Ball pit?
No.
I've got it. Let's make love and listen to Death from Above on the rolling slide.
That sounds awful.
Well, you'd have to be careful not to get caught in the rollers.
And we're out of time for this week, and nothing was accomplished. Special thanks to The Obscure for making us all depressed that the Discovery Zone is no more.
Making people feel bad is what I do best.
Join us next week when we hear from a wooden beam.
You ever heard that Black Eyed Peas song, I'm a beam? I'm a beam, I'm a beam, I'm a beam. I think that's how it goes. I'm a beam, I'm a beam, I'm a beam. It's always about my life.
These federal budget cuts are really crippling the quality of our guests.
A wooden beam. Ha! That episode is gonna suck. Hold on. That commercial showed a glimpse of this weird little robot. You mean the Discovery Zone had artificial intelligence and they were holding back on me? Well, I'm glad they're dead.